Hello, 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 everyone. We are back. We are back. It's another week of Married at First Sight Australia, one of my favorite versions because of all the drama, because of all the spice. You didn't think Australia would be spicy? Well, it's always been spicy, but this is the spiciest it's been in a very long time without a cheating scandal. Hmm. Interesting. JR, welcome on in. How are you? How has your week been?
It's been all good, thank you. Nice, warm, sunny week for little bits. So we're getting there. Summer's coming up. It's been a very busy week and a very chaotic week on maths. How was your week?
My week's been good. I celebrated my birthday this week with members and at my unscripted with the general public, and it was good. It was good. I was disappointed in maths. We only got two episodes this week. I
Mhm.
said, "Where's my Wednesday episode?" Then I woke up today. I'm like, "Where's my Sunday episode?" They're giving me the little bit of sprinkle, grain by grain.
Yeah,
They give me crumbs.
I think there's only, what, 5 episodes left? 3 or 5 episodes left?
Well, I don't know how many episodes to begin with because they're giving us a dinner party tomorrow.
Mhm.
That's before final vows.
Yeah,
And then we get final vows. And then I'm used to a dinner party after final vows to see who made it and who didn't.
that's the reunion. That's going to be the reunion. Yeah, because they at the
Okay.
start they said it was going to be like 40 episodes.
Yeah. So I have to change this title. It's only 34 and 35 was this week. But they had an interesting week for the cast. It was alternative match week. Now, last season, they sent everybody a letter saying, hey, if you want, you can meet your alternative match and see, did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? You could just have lunch with them and see what happened. And just the fact that they met with the alternative matches last season, some people broke up just for that.
Yeah,
This
true.
season, it's out of your hands. We have provided a lunch. You are to attend. And when you get there, you find out we have invited your alternative matches. And boy, oh boy, the fireworks were started. The ladies got there, the men got there, and some people panicked.
Some people capitulated straight away. So there was no resistance. And then some made a smart business decision and decided after like 2 minutes, yo, I'm out.
Were they out or were they in the loop?
Listen, they were not sitting there in the fires of temptation talking to, uh, their alternative matches. So that gave them, and the thing is, they did it respectfully and they got up and decided to go chill elsewhere. But some of the cast, you can tell they wanted to be tempted, wanted to be swayed. And the kicker is that they didn't realize that next day you would have to review the footage of what your partner got up to.
So what JR is telling y'all is that everybody went and had lunch with that partner. They were allowed to go back and tell. They had lunch as a group, y'all, and they sat next to the alternative match. Then they came back to their original partners and told them, "Well, how did the lunch go?" "Oh, it was fine. It was a networking event, babe." And then they hit them with the okey doke of showing the actual video footage to their original partner. And
Exactly.
that set off fireworks because folks lied through their teeth. They lied, they lied, they lied.
Yeah,
So,
they gave them a tablet. They said, "You go in one room, you go in the other room, sit down, watch how your partner performed, and then come back and debrief."
so JR, where would you like to start? Which couple would you like to start with?
Oh, well, since you kind of mentioned the story about what happened, let's go with Alyssa and David.
Okay, babe.
Yeah, right.
Alyssa and David. So Alyssa was quite excited, y'all. She was quite excited. Oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Is the grass greener? Is the grass greener? And she sat next to her dude, and we find out that he is also 31, her alternative match. Okay. And why do I always get the young ones? I like it. I like it. Asked him about his tattoo. Asked him to drop his drawers so she can see it. Then came back to David and said, "Oh, babe, it was a networking event. Nothing to worry about. It was just chill." And then David saw the footage. On the flip side, David said hello to his alternative match. "Hey, I'm glad you're here. Sit down and have lunch, but I can't be here. I am what? I'm married. I'm with someone. So I got to go." And David got up and he was hiding in the bathroom with somebody else because he couldn't leave. Okay? Couldn't leave. So, what were your thoughts about Alyssa and David? I'll let you finish post tablet.
Well, let me just take it back a little bit. So the thing is, this couple have been solid for most of the experiment, and over the last week or so, we've seen unshown footage, like on the actual show. We've seen some unaired footage which showed Alyssa going off on David. So the precursor to this is that their relationship hasn't been as strong as what was perceived, because she has been kind of wilding out, saying a few emasculating things, putting him down a bit. And, you can see that he's kind of trying to handle it with some stoicism. Now, coming into this challenge, she seems very excited about meeting the alternative that she could have been matched with, right? And, they left like on good terms. When she got to the mixer with the other brides, all the brides came in, sat down. The alternatives then came in, and straight away it went from just pleasantries to very personal questions. And then she started to flirt, which led to, how many tattoos? Why don't you pull down your pants? Type thing like that. Now, as I said, this is a group setting, so the other brides can hear and see, even though they're having their own conversations with their alternatives, they know what's happening in it with everybody, right? Now, what she did though is she overstepped the mark in terms of keeping it PG. Like, she really disrespected the relationship and embarrassed David, hoping obviously that it would just be kept between whoever's present. So the idea of David having to watch the footage the next day, which she wasn't told about at the time. They didn't spring it on them beforehand. They told them way after everybody's gone home. So, so she must have been absolutely terrified. Whereas on the other hand, David, as soon as he sat down, said some pleasantries, and then he made the business decision and said, "You know what? I'm happy with my match. I'm matched with the right person, and this is the one for me. So I'm going to get up and excuse myself. No disrespect. I'm going to leave." So that set the tone for the next day, where they're going to watch each other's footage, and Alyssa is going to see David walk out, whereas David's sitting there and he's listening intently to what Alyssa was saying to this guy. And the alternatives were sent there to tempt, to question the relationship, question whether they're with the right person. And Alyssa, without any resistance whatsoever, I think she said she was only 70% into David, 70% into the relationship, and not 100%. And David then is crushed, not only by the footage, but when they come for the debrief, he asks her, "So how did it go?" And she basically downplayed it as a networking event. "Oh, networking, nothing happened. No, nothing much." So then he starts to press her on what he's seen her say. And at first she was denied, "I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything," And then he said, "Okay, so you asked the guy about his tattoos. You asked him to pull down his pants. And then I think this is what hurt him the most. It was when he said, "Okay, so did you exchange socials?" And she said no, because technically she was trying to get around it by saying that they didn't. But what happened is the guy ended up following her on social media. She followed him back. So, you know, David was like, "Well, you just lied to me again." So while he's expressing this, Alyssa gets a defensive posture and then starts to try and manipulate David.
But also,
yeah, go ahead.
David said, if I asked my alternative match to drop her pants, how would you see it?
Exactly. So because of the fallout from this, Alyssa then takes this as her cue to then exit the relationship. So how she started to turn it back on David is, okay, well, you know, you never say anything until, you know, you don't speak up. And he doesn't get a word in edgeways. And I think when he was expressing to her, listen, all I wanted you to do in that moment was just own it and just apologize. But you didn't want to do that. So that's what disappointed him. And he made a beeline for the door. He said, you know what? I need to just leave. So he started leaving. Then she decides, oh, well, I'm going to one-up you. And I'm going to power walk out of here and throw the ring down on him as well. Like as she's passing him, took the ring off, dropped it in front of him and said, yeah, well, you're done. I'm done too. And storms out.
She threw it at him. She threw it down the hall at him. Here's your ring back. I was like, are you okay, Alyssa?
She's not. She joined the unhinged group now.
Well, she was in it from homestays, okay?
Yeah.
You know, yes, this was a gaslighting situation. She lit the bonfire because it was a networking event, babe. It was nothing. And why you got to be so sensitive? Why didn't you just stay and talk and chat? It was okay. Why do you have to be like that? It was nothing. And it's like, he's like, you knew what this was. They said your alternative match. I watched you say, is the grass greener? You knew. Don't try and tell me now that, oh, it's a networking event and it was nothing. No, Missy, you knew. And when he tried to call her out, she got defensive. But I'm glad production is letting us see. She's like, you don't talk to me, babe. You don't tell me what you think. And as soon as he says something, well, you know, yeah, because, you know, I am always talking. And it's like, are you not seeing yourself, Alyssa? He's trying to say something and you're constantly talking over him, cutting him off. How's he supposed to let you know how he feels? She just straight up she didn't want to take accountability. She knew she lied to him and she was caught in the lie. And it's like, young lady, you know what this was, what this is. The women all did themselves, well, most of them did themselves a disservice in this whole alternative match thing. Again, this one, Alyssa, you were caught in your lie. David tried to talk to you about it, and you decided to throw your ring down the hall in his direction. Now he took his ring off and he put it on the baggage carrier. And that's 2 of the rings, y'all. If y'all see a post on my channel, I said 3 rings were left behind. Those are 2 of the rings. Alyssa's on the carpet and his on the baggage thing. So we have a 3rd ring that was left behind that we'll get to later.
So, you know, for this relationship to crash and burn the way it has, I don't think there's any coming back from this. You know, throwing down the rings is final. Storming out, final. And you know, we're so close to the end. Yeah, she was checked out from quite a while ago. She knew that there was no coming back.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because I seen the previews, David is kneeling.
Nah, I don't know why he's kneeling, but I don't get that feeling that it's gonna be.
He putting her ring back on her finger.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I don't think they work. I don't think they last. The thing is, David clearly likes her more than she likes him. Everything, yes, he's done everything throughout this season from what we've seen, and even on the unaired footage, he's really into her. And she has had reservations about him. She questioned the finances. She questioned his, ability to provide. She questioned his character. She questions whether, you know, he's expressive enough for her, whether he's, because she's used to the toxic relationships, like she said. So, yeah, she's just full of doubts, and I don't think she's into him. It takes two. So even if he does like her more, even if he does propose, there's no guarantee she's going to accept it and say yes.
No guarantee. She asked for the proposal at the wedding from a stranger. Now she knows this man. I doubt it. I'm with you. I doubt it. I don't know why he's kneeling. The last time you knelt on your knee at that wedding, David, the next day on the honeymoon, you busted up your knee. You need to stop. This is not working out for you health wise. Okay. So, but David, I liked how when you were able to express yourself, that you said you were not happy with what you saw, with what, her behavior pattern was. And I'm glad you let her know it's not a joke. She kept on saying, "It's a joke, babe." He's like, "Mm-mm, mm-mm." But then she said she felt blindsided by him on the couch last week, the last commitment ceremony, when he was saying his displeasure with the relationship, and she felt blindsided. It's like, Alyssa, this was the only place David could actually get a word in, and you couldn't really interrupt him.
And you can't manipulate it. You can't reverse it back onto you. That's why she feels blindsided. Every time he does say something, she either overtalks or she flips it and makes it about her, because she actually believes she's this, she's an influencer.
Yes.
And that's why she was getting a lot of heat from Gia and Beck, because they are jealous of her looks and the opportunity she has. But let's not get it twisted, right? When they arrived back on her homestay and they saw the billboard, it was from 3 years ago. It was past work. She's not in that space, as far as we know, doing well as a influencer, wherever she is. Right?
The show is to boost that.
Yeah, exactly. But David shouldn't have been collateral damage for that, because he really did like her, and if she wasn't feeling him, just tell him that she's not feeling him no more.
Right. True, Munira. This is why his friends were worried, that because he has a hard time walking away from people who were disrespectful. They said that at the wedding. They said that actually at the reception, when she made him kneel and stuff. They were like, this gonna be rough for David, and it is a rough ride. They need to not be together. But we have, I guess tonight, Australia time, is a dinner party, which I'll be able to see it tomorrow, Monday. There's a dinner party right before final vows that we'll see what happens with them. But for right now, David left his ring in the hallway. Alyssa threw her ring towards him in the hallway. Right now, we have no rings going into the final dinner party and the final commitment ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else for Alyssa and David?
No, not at this time. As I said, even in the previews when he's kneeling, I just don't think she's feeling him. I think he's going to be in for a rejection, and it's unfortunate, but it's just a case where he liked her more than she liked him, and she may have also had pressure on her because he is the only melanated person on the cast. So there may have been some hazing from some of the other girls about that too, Gia and Beck and all of that. So
I'm glad you said that. Let me bring his photo back up, because right now, what he's being flamed for in Australia, it's not this and taking this from Alyssa, but it was his wedding vows. I didn't realize till I dove deeper into his name and stuff. His wedding vows, when he was saying, we'll have caramel babies, and people are flaming him for that. UK and Australia. And I was like, ooh, okay. Alrighty then. And of course, they're flaming Brooke because she was doing that dog whistle thing. Oh, I'm sure your parents would be so proud, saying that. That is another thing that is said when, it is a Black person involved in an interracial relationship. Another reason why Brooke is not getting any work. So I was like, yes, Alyssa getting the work, but David getting the business too. with his words and phrases. And they're like, they're not too keen on him because they're like, you got your preference.
Yeah,
It's what
because
you get.
unfortunately, some people are allowed to have preferences and air them, and some people ain't. It's the double standard.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who would you like to go to next?
Okay, so next, let's take a trip with Rachel and Steven.
Okay, Rachel and Steven. Steven did stay at the dinner. He did talk to his alternative match, but he was very respectful. He's like, I was matched with the right person. This person is perfect for me. So we can have a little chitty chat, but I ain't feeling this. I ain't feeling you. You ain't here for me. Okay. And it was a very lovely young lady. She was very nice. She appreciated him being very respectful. Also, Rachel got a very Rico Suave guy. Oh, I liked him. He looked very handsome. Um, and Rachel was panicked. But she did tell him, that her hubby, my hubby is wonderful guy, and we are, going very well. We've had a great journey. My hubby, just to keep the distance. And the guy heard it and he took it well, and he just had very polite conversation with Rachel. They both saw each other's videos. They were both, like fine with it. Rachel and Steven seem to be heading in the right direction.
Absolutely. They've come a long way from both being very awkward, unable to open up fully, a bit mistrusting, low confidence, low self-esteem. And they seem to have grown together, throughout the show. I think when the alternatives challenge came up, this was going to be a huge test on the insecurity aspects. I do like the fact that Steven, after, in fact, didn't even take long. He openly endorsed Rachel to the alternative. He said, I found my person. She's the one for me, and kept it very short and sweet, right? He did stay, but, he was endorsing Rachel most of the time. Right, he wasn't really getting personal and talking about himself and what could have been and all this other stuff. Rachel was met with a very dashing guy, and she was put on the spot for a moment, but she held firm. And then afterwards, when they watched each other's videos, Steven saw the guy, how handsome he was, and how put together he was, and you can tell he's come a long way because he said, you know what? That guy was more handsome than me, and Rachel still stayed and chose me. So that did wonders for his confidence. And Rachel was gushing, when she heard how Stephen was endorsing her to other ladies and stuff. She was really happy. She looked like she was to the point of tears nearly, really happy. Because her confidence was boosted in that moment, and she felt that trust between her and Stephen was solidified. Then, they went out for a date after the catch up, and he bought her a nice gift. She's starting a vinyl collection. He gave her one of like a Swiftie record or something like that, Taylor Swift, which is her favorite artist, and she was really impressed with his thoughtfulness. Yeah,
and
she looked like she was gonna cry. So yeah, they're very close. I'm not sure about how they make on the outside, but I will say they have come a long way together, and they seem to have been very beneficial for each other as well throughout the process.
Word on the street that they're one of our finale shockers.
I'm not surprised. Right.
Word on the street. We shall see. We shall definitely see. But he was a good sport. She likes roller coasters. He's not about that life, but he rode a few with her. He was terrified of the Ferris wheel, but he rode that as well. So Steven is like, hey, she came out on the boat. She fished with me. She was really, really good with me. I'll participate in her hobbies as well for, a little bit of time. But he did remember that she had a new record player. He's like, I remember what you talked to my brother about, or his dad. And I heard you say about the record player. Let me help you build that collection. That was a very, very thoughtful gift. Very thoughtful gift, and it was very, very moving. They both are on a good foot. I can't say much, with Steven and Rachel, other
Mm,
than they got to get this long distance thing together. And, if maybe Rachel could, find some fishing holes for him where she lives when he visits, because of course his business is where he lives. And so he's kind of like, you know, kind of has to stay where he is, for the sake of his business. It's not very mobile. He does fix boats and stuff, so he has to stay where his customers are. Okay.
mm.
Are we sure that Steven's really in this with Rachel? Can he sustain long distance? We shall find out, Miss Honey, this week. We
Mm.
heard that there's a lot of chaos a brewing at the end for these two,
Yeah,
but we haven't seen it yet.
exactly. And as I said, for these two to have got to where they are now, it's a far cry from where they were when they first got together, right? There was tons of insecurities. You couldn't make a joke without someone feeling a certain way, you know, lots of waterworks, lots of mistrust. But as I say, they've come a long way. And even if they don't, match aesthetically or, no relationship's perfect, but they communicate well. They've managed to overcome all the outside noise and the drama from the other couples, not get pulled too much into that. And even when Rachel was getting hazed by the Mean Girl squad, Steven stuck by her and really tried to console her and everything, and they got the relationship back on track. So yeah, like it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them.
Right. And another couple that is really making good strides, and this did not derail them, is Philip and Stella. Okay. They both met their alternative matches. Philip did stay at the table. He's like, hey, lovely to meet you. I have my person. Okay. And we're going to move in together. I'm sorry, you came all this way, but I ain't the one for you. Stella did the same thing. Like, nice to meet you. It's pleasant, very, above board. And they both basically, skated right by this challenge. But Philip, did come and he told Stephen, hey, I'm about to leave at the end of everything, almost to the end. He's like, I'm about to leave. You ready to go? And he did ask Danny too. And Danny decided he's staying, but we'll get to Danny later. But Philip and Stella did get through this challenge, very, very well. What were your thoughts on Philip and Stella? And you could talk about their date.
Well, Stella and Philip have been the most solid couple so far. We had that blip on the confessions couch with the experts about the whole contraceptives thing. But other than that, they've been pretty stellar, and no pun intended. So I didn't have any real concerns when this challenge came up for them, because I expected, because they're all in with each other and they've progressed much further than the other couples. I really thought that this would be a breeze, and it was. Philip, although he stayed, he didn't leave with David or whatever. But at the same time, he made it very clear that he's not there to be tempted or to move to another girl or anything. He's there only to hear what has to be said, and then that's it. He's just there. He's just there so he don't get fined. So he made a smart move. Stella was conversational as well with her match, and she was quite solid in her communication, saying, "Listen, I'm off limits. I found my partner. That's it for me." Right, but she entertained the conversation. There was no harm, no foul. There's nothing crazy that was said. No crazy flirting or anything. And then, yeah, so they were pleasantly surprised when watching their tablet, seeing how the other half acted. And then obviously Philip, and I would like to get your thoughts on this, but Philip also managed to see what Danny was getting up to. So we won't go into Danny yet, but he watched the footage and saw what Danny got up to, and he came to Stella and he said, "Listen, like, we survived. We're in a good space, but I'm very concerned about what Danny was up to."
Yeah, he was like, Danny's on the hot seat. I was like, why did y'all choose to show Philip? But maybe they showed everybody. But we just got to see his reaction to Danny. But Philip did plan a boat ride, plan a boat date. They went out on the water, and
Mhm.
Stella gave him her house key. And
Yeah.
the only thing I put in my notes is, you got the key, Philip, but do you know the address? I was just being cheeky. You got a key to the apartment. Do you know where the apartment is? But he did go visit her, y'all, on the homestay. I just was trying to be funny at the time. But they had a wonderful date. It continued to solidify their relationship. They are definitely, stride for stride. And we know from social media that they are actually engaged now and planning their wedding. So we have no issues with these two.
Yeah. And they've managed to survive the interference of her crazy friends too, who are really trying to put Stella off of Philip, not only at the wedding, but also on the homestay as well. So they've done remarkably well to come into the experiment, have the chemistry and continue to build and grow in their relationship. Also, Philip did identify uh, Gia in the background doing the most, and he also indicated that Scott's going to be devastated when he sees what Gia does. So
Oh, yes. He definitely will, y'all. We gonna get there. But I'm loving that Philip and Stella are still going strong. They're still, doing the daggone thing, stride for stride. They're every season, even though there is messiness in Australia, there's usually at least one couple that does very well. Okay, one couple. It's usually not the half seas couple or the couple that comes in later, but there's usually one, at least one couple that does very well. One year, y'all, we had a couple even that left their significant others and they came together, cheating scandal, and even they stayed long. I'm telling y'all. Australia gives you some curveballs that you never expected from a Married at First Sight franchise. So Philip and Stella, that was them. Um, I think we need to go on to who he said was gonna have a problem. Danny and Beck. Now
mhm.
this week, Danny decided not only is he going to stay, but the guys who left and didn't entertain the ladies, they were chumps to him. To him, they were ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with sitting here and talking to the lovely ladies that they brought out here. And not only talk, but Danny was flirting. Would you like some food? I cooked it myself. Would you like a drink? Go have a drink. He acted like he was the host with the most. And Beck, on the other hand, was doing her own shadiness. Okay. Beck said she wished she would have dressed cuter if she had known she was meeting her alternative match. She tried to grab lip gloss and stuff from the other ladies so she could look a little bit better. Okay. And Beck grabbed a phone number from another dude to hold it in safekeeping for another lady so that lady can say honestly that she did not take that guy's phone number. That's how shady Beck was. And when Danny saw the video footage, he was hot about that. He's like, you are condoning cheating on a partner. What did you think about Beck and Danny this week?
Man, so yeah, they continue to go from bad to worst. Um, I still question why Danny's even there. He's seen enough over the whole season. He's been with Beck going every single episode. She's doing something crazy or saying something wild. But on the challenge, he sat down at the table, and because all the other grooms had left the vicinity, well, no, I think 2 or 3 had left. That left 3 extra women for Danny to get acquainted with. And he reveled in it. You can see he was laughing, he was joking, he was bubbly, and that must have crushed Beck because he is not like that when he's with her at all. Right? And and we know that Beck's probably the most insecure person on the whole entire show, you know. So when she was watching that footage, she was particularly focused on his interactions. Now, Danny, um, turned into the ladies' man, and that's what some of the other grooms were trying to pull him out, trying to pull him away, and he was like, "No, I'm staying. I'm cool." So he didn't even want to make the business decision. He wanted to stay there and have his fun. Telling him about where he's from and his accent and tattoos, and went into the whole thing. Beck, on the other hand, did the most. She went to Gia and tried to get glammed up for her date, loads of lip gloss, thinking that's going to make her look attractive. She's trying to entice whoever it is. She hadn't even seen him at this point, but she was just like, whatever he is, if he was meant to be matched with me, let me try and, do myself up, right? So, she was like having a lot of conversations that were probably pushing the boundary. And then when it came to the phone number for the other bride, we're going to get into that, so let's not reveal it yet. But basically, what she tried to do was say, let me take your phone number because this bride's going to need it. So I'll take it from you now. She's definitely going to need it. How she span it to Danny was, oh, he was so forceful and persistent trying to get this bride's number. And I was just like, okay, well, let me take it. And then, no. The footage clearly showed Beck was the one that said, just give me her number, give me your number, and I'll pass it on to her. She was instigating it. Yeah? Like, the guy wasn't persistent. Beck was persistent about giving the number to this bride. So that's what made Danny hit the roof, because his comment was, listen, and I can understand his frustration. If I look at what he's been through with Beck, he said, why is it that all of these women want great husbands, but they're actually crap wives? Yeah. And you could tell he's very disappointed in Beck, but not disappointed enough to leave. So for me, Danny is gaslighting her. He's making her believe that there's something that can work. He hasn't said he loves her, and he even commented about it. He said, listen, I haven't said I love her. I don't love her. But he's still staying, giving her false hope. Danny, get out of there. How many times does she have to wave the red flag in front of you? Get out. And
She
then
was. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and with Beck, I don't know, other than the fact that she tried to drop the L word, I don't know what she's done to endear herself to him in a relationship. You've shown yourself to be quite volatile and toxic every single time there's an opportunity to be. There's no restraint. And even when they sit down and have a conversation, she does a little bit of what Alyssa does. She tries to deflect. When she sheepishly asked him, so what did you think of my performance? And he reeled off the three things that he saw. And what did she do? She got up and stormed off. And then in the confessional, she said, well, I wasn't happy with his videos, but I'm not allowed to voice what. No. You got called out. Own it. You didn't do yourself any favors. It's no one else's fault but yours, Beck. And Beck is just continues to be your problem, a very big problem. And I'm not sure why Danny is trying to stay there and appease her. He's not going to say yes on final vows. No way.
She was so happy that he wore his ugliest shirt, according to her. His ugliest shirt to meet this alternative match. But she wants to get glammed up for hers. Okay? Then, he forced me to take his number, for the other bride. Ma'am, no. You've blatantly lied. Then Danny is like telling somebody else's, I believe that was Phillips or Scott's alternative match, that was rubbing his shoulder while talking. Man, please stop touching me. My wife wouldn't like it. But he was saying it in a very joking manner. But the girl did stop rubbing his shoulder. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of like, like a low down dirty shame. Get off, my ladies. That was the behavior Danny was exhibiting. He was the host. Y'all should all bask in my glow. I am here to entertain and be entertained by you.
Yeah.
It was not a
But,
good look for either of them, especially since Danny knew on the honeymoon that she was accusing him of looking at another woman.
mhm. Well, yeah, exactly. And she was clearly looking at this other woman being intimidated, and she accused him of watching this woman 3 separate times. So that's what the interesting thing was. She was going to really have to struggle to watch how he interacted on this particular date. And for the most part, um, she didn't explode, which was strange to me. She didn't actually go
Right.
nuts.
Because she knew
Um,
she was wrong on her side.
exactly, that's true. And his comment was actually when someone put their hand on his shoulder, his comment was, "Can you like don't touch me because if my wife's going to get angry if she sees this." So he does have a little bit of fear about Beck's temper. Fact of the matter is, though, the relationship is clearly too volatile, and it's mostly down to the way Beck behaves. But Danny, listen, man, like you're giving her false hope. Like you need to cut it off. And I do agree with Ms. Honey in the comments. Like I do think he's trying to protect an image of him being the good guy, and he doesn't want to be the bad guy and be vilified. So that's part of the reason why he wants to stay, because if he leaves, he knows there's going to be a subsection of the audience that get onto him for abandoning Beck. Because she told him that she loves him, and he hasn't said it back. So if he leaves after she said that, then they're going to be like, "Oh man, she loved you and you left her, you dirty dog," and this, that, the other. Yeah, and you continue to sleep with her after you're not attracted to her. Yeah, he's trying
But
to. Of
that's why she said it, to manipulate him to stay.
course, it was. We know that she don't really love that guy.
She don't What does she receive from him to even say that there's love there?
Nothing.
The
She
post-it
always,
notes?
she always wants. Well, yeah, and the post-it notes. What did they say? I like your cooking. I love your fashion sense. I love your intellect. It wasn't anything about I love you. So
Not at all. Not
no.
at all. But these two should not be together. It's giving, as you and Miss Honey, I'm here so I don't get fined, or I'm here so that the entire audience doesn't get into me. But again, I'm not gonna get into him. If he was doing things to intentionally rile her up, I would say that.
Mhm.
But him just being himself riles her up.
Yeah.
And sometimes she sees things that we don't even see that's there. And that could be editing. Y'all remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is an edited, produced show. We don't know everything. But what we do know is she has professed that she loves you. You don't say that you love her, you he and haw, but you still wish to give her the Danaconda. That don't add up. Okay? That don't add
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I mean, love and you know, uh, late night red light activities are not synonymous, but they're two separate things. But at the same time, I get what you're saying. He knows how strongly she feels about him, and he does not feel anywhere near as strongly for her. So while you're giving her those good late night cardio sessions, you're feeding into her belief that you and her are in a good place, or at least going to work out. So you need to cut that off and go without, and keep it real and just be like, listen, it's just been too much, Beck. It's time. And maybe he's saving it for a big crescendo at the end where he says, look, every single week we've had you jumping into other relationships, you've been teaming up with the mean girls, you've been slagging everybody off. It's just too much. And you would have jumped at the opportunity to go be with someone else if they presented it. So, I would have fought him for just quitting like that.
Exactly. Exactly. I think he checked out at the wedding day.
When she was
I,
onto him about his brooch and onto him about his suit, and then she broke down about the joke he made about being a Bonnie and Clyde, and then the honeymoon was even worse. And then the
yes.
couple interactions, they've all been even worse than that. So there's nothing, what is there to love?
And focused on his friend that is an exotic dancer. I mean, and airing his dirty laundry out that he was with one of her friends and never called the friend back. It's like, girl. But meanwhile, y'all on social media, if you are following Danny, Danny is getting instructions from his exotic dancer friend. I think he's going to be on the road performing soon. Maybe, I don't know if that's your if that's your, in your wheelhouse that you like to watch. Danny is actually showing us where he's learning how to be a dancing fireman, okay, and a few other things. Anything else for these two? Because I don't think we're gonna make it through final vows. We're gonna make it to the end, but it's gonna be a nah, homie. I'm gonna need to go.
Mhm. Yep, I agree.
People are gonna steal your statement, JR.
Late night cardio.
I am gonna steal that too. When we in our member live and we talking about certain stuff, I'm gonna make sure to say call it late night cardio. Now y'all, JR does is a fitness trainer, okay? So it hit a little bit different when he say cardio, but it make it real funny talking about Married at First Sight late night cardio.
Yeah.
Too funny. But let's get on to the, as they would say, the pied de resistance. Uh Gia and Scott. Y'all, this week, these two imploded. When I tell you imploded, they imploded. I wish I had the explosion sounds because they imploded. So they went. Scott was not having it. Scott started like he was about to have a panic attack at the table when the ladies started coming in. His eyes were big. His eyes were big. He started to sweat and he said, I'm sorry, I can't stay here, and ran to the bathroom. That's who David was in the bathroom hiding out with the entire time. He said,
Mhm.
no. Gia, if she sees it, if she hears about this, oh no, I can't do this. We got things we got to figure out, things we got to work on. He ran to the bathroom and stayed there with David the entire time. Not
Mhm.
only that, when they come back, Gia wants to leave. Gia has another flip out of I need to leave. I want to leave. And if you care about me, Scott, you will leave with me. But he wants to stick it out. And she's like, well, I guess you want the camera time more than you love me. And she's saying it's the pressure of the show. I just want to go home. I just want to see my mom and my daughter. They're walking up and down, and forgetting they have microphones on. They're walking up and down the actual street. And she eventually jumps into an Uber and leaves. But she calls him on the phone and saying that if he don't leave with her now, then she's gone. And she hangs up on him and he feels defeated. But y'all remember what's coming up. What's coming up, even Scott decides to stay. And we love the fact that Scott decides to stay because guess what they do? They leave the tablet and video footage of Gia and her behavior at that mixer with the alternative matches. They leave it outside the door. Scott watches it and he is devastated. He said it is putrid, it is disgusting, it is embarrassing because she lied to his face. She let the other man think that she was available for a date. And she was scared he was going to find out. That's why she wanted to leave. Scott was devastated. She used me for my money. I was going to give up my whole life for her. She broke my heart. She ruined me. And it happens with everyone. It happens with everyone because I'm too easy. And it's never going to happen again. I think we see in Scott's villain story begin. Scott's villain story is beginning right here before our eyes. I would have felt sorry for Scott, but Scott was part and parcel with her villainy with the other people on the cast. Okay, I would feel sorry for him, but I'm not. I may have a pinch of pity for him, but it ain't much. Okay, but Gia ran. Yes, he was crushed and devastated. And I'm gonna let you fill in how Gia behaved on that alternative date so folks know exactly what she did.
Right. So, as you said, Gia came into the alternatives date clearly looking for an alternative to Scott. She got glammed up, dressed up, and was feeling herself. The guy she was matched with is someone else who's a multimillionaire, got some money. Basically, he said, listen, I'll spend that money to get what I want. That's music to her ears. So she's asking him questions about finances. She's asking about, you're the type of guy that I would be with, type stuff. And really made herself seem like she is definitely ready to kick Scott to the curb and move to this new guy. And that's why I think Beck got the idea to take the number, because this can be used as a weapon against Gia at some point. Remember, Gia is the one that's been airing out Beck's personal messages. So when Beck had the opportunity to take the guy's phone number and use it to potentially ruin Gia's relationship, that's why I think she did that. Anyway, it wasn't needed because Gia ruined the relationship herself. Now, so as well as acting single, very single, she also said, listen, I'm only here for another week and I'm done. So we can hook up from next week. That's how she was dropping it to this new guy. So then Scott, like on the other side, he was sweating buckets. Like he was there panicking, like, you know what? This is a trap. If I say or do anything and Gia feels a way about it, I'm going to get heat. I'm going to be in the doghouse. So I'm going to politely make my excuses and leave, ladies. Nice to meet you. Bounced. Just hid. Right? Which was a smart move because, listen, at the end of the day, we know that Gia is volatile. So when it came to them watching the footage back, which obviously Gia had no idea was going to take place, she started panicking. So she immediately started talking about anxiety and let's leave tonight, Scott. If you love me, you'll leave with me now. So she's saying all of this before they've been given the opportunity to watch the videos back of each other. So she's like, yeah, I packed my bags. My bags have been packed for a few days now. Listen, now's the time to leave. If you love me, you'll leave. If you don't, then you're just here for camera time. We can be on the outside world together. Let's leave now. So she's really panicking, trying to manipulate him, trying to do everything she can to distract him and prevent him from watching the video back. So at first he goes along with it. He's like, yeah, okay, let's leave. Then something tells him, you know what? Nah, I want to see it through. I want to get to final vows with you. We've come this far. We're only a short time away. The objective is to get to final vows, make the commitment, and then try and make this work outside. I don't want to cut corners. I'm sorry. So Gia decides to storm out. And this is the 5th time, not the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. This is the 5th time Gia has left the show. Even if it's for a brief period or whatever, she storms out and threatens to quit. She rage quits, right? Instead of handles the accountability when it's thrown away. She doesn't like feedback from the experts. She doesn't like feedback from the other couples. She disrespectfully tears up everybody's suggestions and things like that. And she thinks that everybody's talking about stuff that doesn't pertain to their relationship. No, Gia, they're telling you about your behaviors and how your behaviors impact the relationship, and more importantly, impact Scott. Because what she's been doing with Scott is manipulating him when the cameras are off. On the unseen footage we've seen, she has been very manipulative. She coerces him. She threatens him. She gives him ultimatums. She blackmails him. And, it's a pattern that she's clearly comfortable exhibiting, because she's broken him down. She knows that he's smitten with her now, so that he's been conquered. So now she can do all these different tactics just to keep him where he is, so he doesn't look around and wake up and realize that he's been manipulated. Anyway, so she leaves. He goes back to the apartment, and he sees the tablet. He sits down, reads it, watches the footage back, and he is absolutely broken. Why? He's stunned at first because he's like, wait a minute. She actually came out here to try and date this guy or look for an opportunity to get with this guy. Meanwhile, she's talking about how she loves me, and she's been telling me she wants me to say it back to her. But this is what you do when as soon as you got another man around you. Nah, like, so he's devastated, he's crushed. And then he says, you know, I've been spending money on this girl the whole time we've been together. So she wasted my money, you know, wasted my time. She broken him. So when she tries to call and give him one final opportunity to leave with her, and he's like, no, you know, we thought that was the end. But guess what? In typical Gia fashion, she's going to make a grand appearance at the dinner party. And she says she's only going back there for Scott. You know, she said she's not interested in any of the drama. She's not interested in anything else. She's only coming back there for Scott. Now, what we haven't seen yet, but what we're going to see, here's a sneak preview, is that the producers restrict Gia's access to Scott because they fear that she's going to do something to either manipulate him or she's just not safe to be around in the state that he's in. So the producers block Scott from all of her advances to try and talk to him. And what she does is she goes and frames that as he ghosted her. No, he didn't ghost you. You ghosted him when you decided to leave the experiment and leave him there. You've been doing the ghosting 5 times. So you're creating abandonment issues in this guy as well now.
Yep. They say they put Scott in a hotel, a separate hotel that only production knew about to protect him from Gia. That is what they said. Okay. That was for Fritos Paul. Hey, Fritos Paul. Again, they knew and they have footage of how Gia has treated this man, how he thinks one thing and then she would have him turn all the way around and come to her conclusions. And that's what they have said. Now, the other thing we found out, other than he is very, very devastated over this, Gia has a new beau. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Gia has a new beau. And she went on Australian social media, and their social media folks that gets all the tea, all the hot tea, and says how she met this man. And how she met this man does not exonerate her from her behavior at all. This new man foolishness,
it makes it worse.
I'm gonna let you tell it, JR.
Okay. It. Listen, so what she's done, she's gone to an event and seen this guy. This guy, her new boyfriend or whatever, he was with another lady. Now, he was entertaining his girl or whatever. And what she decided to do was, because she felt there was some type of attraction on her side, she decided to kind of make a play for the guy, even though he was with his girlfriend. Then she made like quite a few advances. And then eventually she managed to corner him in a toilet and she went in for the kiss and kissed him. Now, as I said, he already had a relationship. He already had a girl that he was with anyway at this particular event. And she decided to make a play for him. So she didn't do herself any favors because, again, she just come off of a challenge where there is another guy trying to tempt her from Scott. And this is exactly why Scott's devastated, because she showed no loyalty to the relationship, no loyalty at all to the feelings that she supposedly has for him. So all of this happened in a short space of time. So she you know, in her mind, she's flipped it so that Scott was abandoning her, you know, ghosting her, when really she was done with that relationship. She was checked out. She said she only had a week left and she was done. She was mentally checked out from Scott. She only needed Scott as a support mechanism while she was going off and starting fires in other relationships. Right. You know, she wanted to come out as the relationship that was exemplary and survived all the toxic stuff. But once the show's over, she's looking for other opportunities and she's looking to get with someone else. And the telltale sign is in the homestay. When she came to Scott's apartment, $1.9 million apartment, squeaky clean, like he's got maids and stuff that have tidied up, cleaned everything, spotless. It looked like a show home. It looked like it'd been staged, right? And she came in there and she immediately started, oh, you don't even have a walk-in closet. Look how dirty it is. You don't know. Like, is this how you live? You know? And there was nothing wrong with it. She was actually finding fault. Why? Because she's trying to make a collage of different things that turn her off from Scott to make her not want to be with him after the show's finished. I suspect she wanted to just make it to final vows and then destroy him then. Just say, no, it's not going to work.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And she is coming for the final dinner party, y'all. Or I should say the final dinner party before final vows. She is coming back. She is coming. She is the third ring because she left the ring on the kitchen counter for Scott to find. She left the ring. So that is the third ring in the post that I made on this channel. That she is the one that left the third ring, but she still decides to show up to the dinner party. Again, you talking about Scott there for camera time? Girl, you are too. But she refused a whole lot of post interviews. But she will call up to radio stations and tell them her version of things, her version of this or that. She does that. But now she, in her own words, are telling us this new boyfriend, okay, is connected to another friend. So she knows this man has got somebody. He came to where the event was with his girlfriend. He came with a date. With a date. She was told there. And then when she told him about this love story, I'm sorry. When did kissing in the loo, in the bathroom, cornered when he got another woman in the next room is romantic? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't get that. I really don't. I don't get that part. But then if you look at the comment section of that post about her interview, you see Chris in there co-signing. Oh, I was there. It was magical. There were sparks flying between them. Rebecca is there co-signing the relationship. Oh my God, they were so great for each other. And Gia tells us she's known this man for this small amount of time, and he's already taken her daughter to school. She's already living with him, and he's taken her daughter to school. He's ingrained in their life.
And you know the crazy part is that this guy apparently dated one of Scott's exes.
Yes.
So again, very petty. You know, she could have found anybody else at any time, but she made a beeline for this one particular dude, and she knew that getting with him, you know, would create more drama. And
drama in Scott's circle of friends. Yes,
exactly, because like I said, he's dated Scott's ex, and you know, she can get tea. You know, how was she? Compare notes. Oh well, you know, Scott's this, that, the other, and just badmouth Scott. So I think Gia is just all about being performative. I think she really has very low self-esteem. I think this story about her being bullied as a kid, it doesn't wash anymore because she has transformed into that bully herself. She bullies everybody. And she also exposed her so-called friendships with the ladies on the group. So there was a Mean Girl squad, and Gia was at the, you know, she was the puppet master. She had the remote control, controlling everybody. Turns out that she was using Beck, so they weren't never truly friends. They were enemies, but they would friend up, like tag up, when she had no one else around to do her dirty work. The birthday party, you know, even though Beck was invited, they're no longer friends anymore. And then Juliet, she used Juliet too. They're no longer friends anymore. Brooke, even though Brooke and her were besties and all that going off on Alyssa, her and Brooke are no longer friends anymore. And her and Chris are no longer friends anymore. They don't even talk anymore. So she don't have no friends from the show that she was hanging around with like that. Yeah. It was all performative. Yeah. And again, it speaks to her level of low self-esteem where it's not even that she wants to be liked by everyone. She just wants people to talk about her or to do her dirty work.
Talk about her in a positive light.
And there's very few people that can do that after interacting with her.
Very few. Very few. But again, I don't think she understands the story of her getting together with that guy really did nothing for her. People are in the comment section saying, girl, this is not it. This ain't it. Are you serious? This guy, how you got him from this other girl is trash. You are proud to be kissing a man in a bathroom at a restaurant? That is trash. They have been telling her in the comments, I'm glad Australia is not falling for it at all.
She's a master manipulator for sure. And I think, you know, there are times where she really could have pulled the wool over people's eyes. And I'm just so glad that now, after this challenge, this latest challenge, it really showed Scott who she really was before he got taken to final vows and then just crushed and embarrassed. You know, because again, you know, if you're not feeling someone, let them know. And this is what I'm saying about Danny. It's the same applies to Gia as well. You know full well you're not feeling Scott. How are you going to tell this guy that you just met for 2 seconds, I'm only here for 1 more week and then I'm free? Like we can hook up. Like she really had no idea that they were going to pull that tablet out the next day. So that's why she wanted to leave. She made all of that fuss to try and avoid the accountability that would come with the explanation that she would have to make. You know, and the sad thing is if she had explained it, I think Scott would have somehow forgiven
justified
her.
It.
Yeah.
He'd have justified it. You know, she could have pulled the wool over his eyes. But again, she's coming to the final dinner. I want to see what happens when Scott's like, hey, I saw the tape. I saw exactly how you behaved. But she also was trying to paint Scott in a particular way. She was trying, y'all, in the previews, she's trying to say that Scott is the one that kind of was bullying her. Scott was the one pushing her and getting her involved in foolishness. And Scott didn't really like her. Like if Scott was, you know, painted in the same light, like, you know, Danny, she was trying to say all kinds of stuff. And luckily in the previews, we're, you know, seeing people saying, come on, Gia, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try that.
And she also made an appearance. I think I sent you the link as well. She made an appearance on one of these shows in Australia. For the first time, she sat down and talked about all of this. And yeah, she definitely wanted to paint Scott in a particular light. But she also said she's really sorry now for the way that she treated him. And that was one of the biggest regrets because he didn't deserve that and all the rest of it. But it's all performative. It's all for show. You know, she's only saying that now to try and stem the amount of
fallout.
Fallout we're going to get. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's a major crash out in one of these next episodes. It might even be at the dinner party. But I think there's going to be a major crash out, and I think it's going to be Gia that goes nuts.
Right. It is, Miss Honey, an apology tour. But here's the thing. When the episodes first came out, Gia was trashing everybody through the radio station. She was trashing everybody. It's now that we have heard that she was terminated from her job. Okay. Now that we heard that no management company wants to work with anyone from the cast so far, now we're hearing, I'm sorry I treated Scott that way. Before it was like, y'all don't know Scott. Y'all just seeing half the footage. Y'all don't know what Scott is like when the cameras are out. She was trashing Scott really hard. And we watched her leave Scott on the couch, say she go into the bathroom and never return for that commitment ceremony. So Gia, what we see and what you're doing are two different things. Two different things.
Exactly. And I think, you know, Scott had a valid case. When she left him on the couch, that was a valid reason for him to put the brakes on and say, listen, this ain't working. And again, if you look at it, that was another time where she was going to be held accountable, for what she had been doing. And she decided to get up and bounce. So again, she left like 5 times. She's abandoned him, left him to deal with the fallout from things that he hadn't even instigated. And she's embarrassed that man countless times. So I think their relationship is pretty much over. I'm glad the producer stepped in because they probably see how fragile Scott may be after what he's experienced, and they're trying to look out for his well-being by not allowing her to get her claws back into him.
Now, y'all, the filming happens weekly from Monday to Friday. The cast is allowed to go and do whatever they want on the weekends, within reason, within the city. Scott would take Gia every weekend, away somewhere to just decompress and stuff like that. He paid for everything while they were there, all meals, everything. She didn't have to dip into her pocketbook, not once. So again, Scott has definitely been showing up the way that she wanted. Hey Sam, good to see you. Good to have you here. Girl, you're always on time.
I think one of the other major things though that we have to consider is that there are, like, if you look at Gia, Beck, Alyssa, I would even say maybe even Mel, they would have been looking for their 15 minutes of fame after this show ended. So not only are they not going to get their 15 minutes based on the way they actually showed up on the show, but they've actually lost their 9-to-5s now as well. Even their 9-to-5s don't want to be associated with them, and they've probably been in those jobs for quite a while, and they were let go. So where do they go from here? You can't capitalize and build off of your performance on the show. You don't end up in the relationship that you set out to be in. And now you go back to real life and you have to look for work and no one wants to touch you.
Right, because now, jobs are looking at your social media.
Exactly.
So when jobs see your social media got all this drama, they don't want the maths drama coming in.
Some of these jobs are even doing personality tests as well. So it's not just social media, it's personality tests, the whole EFNJ and all those different types of things. So when they see the evaluations come back, they look at the social media, they look at what you've just been doing. Oh, man.
Right. We know Brooke is expecting her first kid. We know Beck had said that the way she could afford her lovely home is because of her job. And we know, Gia, she was a nurse for people with disabilities. So, and there's good money in that. Oh,
But
and y'all, Gia went and got another matching tattoo with this new man. Gia, are all your tattoos matching with some other person? I need, that's just a question I have.
that might be a way of keeping tabs on who she's been with.
Ooh, the roster.
Yeah, like she might have an icon for every single dude, right? But yeah, what can we say? These castmates were given an opportunity to find a relationship, and unfortunately, they would rather squander it and be toxic and create all types of shenanigans that distract away from actually forming the type of relationship that they claim they wanted.
Right.
Self-inflicted.
Very much self-inflicted. But y'all, this is the entire cast. Everybody in blue has left. Let me take that off of Rachel for a moment. Everybody in blue on the side have left. Okay, everybody in blue left. This is just to remind you who was there, because I forgot a few people. I forgot a few people. I forgot about Julia Grayson and Luca Mel for a second. But, most recently, Chris and Sam left the experiment, but these below here, but so far, David and Alyssa gave their rings back. And Gia dropped her ring off for Scott. But we don't know what's going on. We have a dinner party coming up. And we go figure that out. Not Miss Honey saying that Gia keeps her list on her body.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Miss Honey. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Souvenirs. They're souvenirs.
Souvenir. There you go. But is there anything else about this week's episodes that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I think we covered it all quite extensively. Um, Listen, these next few episodes, this is where the rubber meets the road. All right. This final challenge really showed some of these couples, where their partner was at. So now the fallout from that is a dinner party. And then I think we're going to get to the final vows. And I suspect we may only see 2 couples say yes to each other at the end.
Oh yeah, I can see Rachel and Steven, Philip and Stella. Everybody
Yep.
else,
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm seeing too.
Yeah, everybody else, all on this side could just go away. No reason to stay. No reason to stay. Well, JRX TV, thank you for being here this week. Tell the people where they can find you and what are you up to on these social media streets.
Yeah, not up to much at all on social media these days. I'm doing these reviews with El Cid. We're going to see out this mammoth maths season, which has been 40 episodes. We're going to see that through Instagram. You can find me as JRX TV on Instagram. TikTok, I'm JRX TV. And on YouTube, I'm Life is Reality. So, as I say, I'm not too active, but tune in and you might see something that you didn't know.
Not too much late night cardio, y'all. Behave yourselves.
Listen, get the cardio in however you can get it in. All right, because your heart health is important. Cardio is good for your cardiovascular system. So you keep up that work.
And Scott's cardio is getting a workout for sure. We're gonna find out what it is this week. But we are here till the end.
CNS. His CNS is getting a workout. His central nervous system. That's different. He's stressed.
He is stressed. He is definitely stressed. At 5 p.m. EST in a couple of hours, I'll be covering Love is Blind Sweden with our panel, The Reunion. In May starts Love is Blind Poland. We are heading to Poland, y'all, okay? And tomorrow night in our Messy Member Monday, I'm going to be covering the Easter shenanigans, y'all. Happy Easter. It is Easter, and tomorrow we're going to cover what happened, the fashions, and the church signs outside. Because some of y'all churches don't know what to put outside and have very suggestive signs out there. Tuesday, I'm covering Game of Thrones Season 1, still with Trey. We're going through Season 1 through Season 8. If this is your first time watching Game of Thrones, or if you're a seasoned watcher, come join our conversation. Other than that, I'll have definitely, I still cover RuPaul's Drag Race. And with the members, we watch it on Friday at 8:30 p.m. EST. And, we have Unscripted every Friday at 5 p.m. where we have a little party. I pick a year in music. We cover it from all around to R&B to the rap, if there is a rap list. So definitely, we're kind of winding down ourselves around here, but we still have Maths, okay, and RuPaul's Drag Race, which are winding down. But we're going to pick it up with Love is Blind Poland. But yes, happy Easter, everyone. Make sure you're enjoying time with family. If you cannot be with your family, just, think of the great memories that you have. And I'll always say at the end of these lives, I'll see you on the next one.